When I say thinking through what they're thinking, I'm talking about what they're feeling, what emotions they're going through, and trying to mind read what that is. And when you mind read with them, they start to think that you're in their head. Does that make sense to you? Right? I mean, I know when I did my deal, the first $4,000 I spent on a real estate training program, you know, I'm sitting in a chair just like that, right? And I'm feeling the back of the chair on my back, you know, and I'm wondering whether this guy is true or not. Am I mind reading him? I am. If I mind read him, do I build rapport? I do. As I build rapport, can I start to lead him a little bit? Yeah, so we can do mind reading. What you want to do is to mind read what they're thinking, but also mind read some of the conversations they might have with their spouse, their significant partners, those kinds of individuals at night if they're not there already, or during the daytime. And there are certain things that they're going to ask, like, does it work? What you want to do is to mind read what they're thinking, but also mind. Do we need to deal with that? We do. We need to make sure it doesn't work. Why aren't you doing it? A very common thing for people is, geez, if this is such a great deal, whether that's real estate, stock market, or small business, or internet, or whatever that might be, why aren't you doing it? Why isn't that your full-time presentation? And you better have a good answer to that, right? It better be something about you're giving back to others because you've had the opportunity to be touched and you want to touch others, right? You know, I retired when I was in January '98 for the first time. I found that being your type of personality, type A personality, it wasn't what I wanted. Then I thought about, what do I love to do? I love to talk to people about real estate. I love to talk to people about business. I love to talk to people about those kinds of things. It's the reason I'm here. Yeah, I get paid well, but the reason I'm here is really to touch the lives of other people, because I was touched by this big, giant guy named Tony Robbins, right? So you want to mimic them. You want to future pace. You want to say, hey, this is how it happened. This is why it happened. This is what you need to, this is how you should respond to it. And one of the major things is the buying decision. You want to script what should be happening in their head in terms of buying decision. You want to script, you know, when you're talking to that significant person tonight, and that might even be yourself, you know, I want you to kind of weigh the pros and the cons. So let's talk about some of the pros. Let's talk about some of the cons. And let me suggest to you that if you listen to this person at the end of the night, what's going to happen? You're going to go back to work on Monday. But if you listen to this person at the end of the night, what's going to happen? Somebody catch that? Okay? What's going to happen is you're going to be multimillionaire status, $250,000 a year, and have a lifestyle where literally you can walk out of your bedroom and your shorts and make a ton of money. And people want that lifestyle, right? So you want to mimic that. Another way of doing it, I call it, there's also the one I use called the window. Okay, guys, would you guys like to learn a quick strategy for how to deal with some decision? How many people would? How many people are like, I'm done? Oh, nobody. That's strange. But some people should go, I'm all topped up. I don't need any more. Right? Okay, so here it is. This is one I use just before I do my closing. Just before I do my closing. You know, folks, I know in an audience like this that there's kind of three groups of people. So here's what I want you to do. Is I want you to look to the left. Look at the person on your left. You guys that are over there, look at the wall. It's okay. Just pretend it's a person. Look at that person. Just check him out. Check him out. Person on your left. Let me suggest to you that this individual is a window shopper. Okay? They probably came to a workshop like this 3 years ago. They probably have been to multiple workshops, and all they do is window shop. Right? They like the ability to look at things and see how it could be. But they're never going to get to success because, you know, they don't want to spend money, they're too afraid, they don't want to take that step. Okay? What I want you to do is to look at the person at your right. Look at this individual. Now let me tell you, this person is going to be successful, except for one thing. They are a know-it-all. They come to a workshop like this and they think after learning a couple of strategies that they can become a multimillionaire. Right? And the challenge with that is, do they have enough information yet? No, you need to get more information. I'm pointing at Bill, by the way, in case you didn't get that. You need to get more information. Here's the problem then. And I know you drivers out there, you're thinking, I'm going to take these 3 or 4 strategies and I'm going to make $1 million. And guess what? You will. The only problem is it's going to take you 10 to 15 years to get there. Now you drivers, do you want 10 or 15 years to get there? No. If you're going to get their success, what do you need? More education. You need a coach. You need a mentor. Somebody who's done it. Now let me talk to you about that person in the center. That person in the center is totally 100% committed to success. They want to be a multimillionaire in the next couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years. They want an income stream of $250,000 or more. How many people are like that? They want to get to that level. No, seriously, how many people want to get, guys, how many people want to get to the level? Because you don't put up your hand, man. If you can't put up your hand, well, this individual is looking for a path. This person realized the value of education. This person learns when you learn more, you earn more, right? So let me just talk about some of the programs we have to continue your education. Is that a nice frame for things? Because I basically said, you're an idiot, you're smart, right? Okay? Society pressures. Is it okay for me to share this kind of stuff?
Oh, it's
Great. How many people are enjoying it? Okay, good. How many people aren't? Yeah, I saw you. You're doing the whole he's manipulating me thing, right? You need to come see me because we can get over that, right? Together. You can't do it yourself, you need me too, right? Okay, so there are 2 other strategies. If you don't mind, I'll just wrap them up. I might take you maybe 10 minutes over lunch. Is that okay, Bill?
Cool.
I mean, I'll ask these guys. Is it okay for me to go like 12:10? All right, cool.
20-30.
What's that?
20-30.
20 or 30? if I could show you how to make $50,000 in the next 10 minutes, would that be okay?
That'll be okay.
Okay. Okay. Basically, there are society pressures that we subscribe to, we succumb to. And if you know what they are, they can help you in terms of influence. So let me, there's a great book out there by Cialdini. I'll give it to you in a minute. So we want to learn some things about some of the strategies that are out there. One is reciprocation. I use reciprocation a lot. Commitment and consistency. I'll talk about that a little bit, how you get them to commit a little bit. And once they're committed, then they have to follow the path to success. Social proof. Liking as a speaker. I had a very dry sense of humor, and I wasn't very funny. So I actually went on this course in terms of humor to be better in terms of humor. I think I got a little bit better. We'll see, right? So we want to be liked as individuals. Authority. We want to make sure that you're commanding as authority. So I'll show you a technique there that we use regularly. And then scarcity. You want to make sure that they want to be part of the elite, part of the small group. So each of these has some strategies that you can adopt and use. So let me give them to you real quick. Reciprocation is, I'm going to give you something that you weren't expecting, right? Here's a lot of things I do. Let's say that I plan on giving them a handout. It's good information, it's solid information, and they should have it. Maybe it's about the 40-40-20 plan in terms of investing in real estate or any kind of investment. They should have that information. Am I going to give that information to them in their book? No, where am I going to put that information? At the back, my instructors or my sales coordinators are going to hand them out to people so they build rapport as they're talking. Here it is. Nice to meet you. Here it is. Nice to meet you. Right? So I'm building people to go to the back. But I was going to give it to them anyway, but I don't do that. I say, hey, listen, I'm talking about the 40-40-20 plan. I've talked about that a little bit. How many people would like to have a 2-page article of the 40-40-40 plan? I hadn't planned on giving it. How many people would like to have that article? Okay? So listen, hey, Bill, do you think maybe we could get these printed to get to these people? Maybe you can get that done now, and at the break, you go to the break at the back and pick up that article. How many people would like to have that? Okay? Did I just create reciprocation with you? Did you think I'm going an extra mile for you specifically, and I was going to give that out anyway? What do you think? Okay, so you want to use reciprocation. I give out a lot of bonuses. I hand tapes out. I do a lot of that to get reciprocation back from individuals. Kind of reminds me of that person that's walking through the airport with the flower. They hand you the 50-cent flower, and then they say, that's our love gift to you, and what do they expect in return? $20. So anytime you can give more than expected, anytime you can give an additional benefit, make a big deal of it, even if it was something you're going to give them anyway. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're adding some value. So reciprocation is very strong. Commitment. You've got to get them committed. A lot of people are window shoppers, and as window shoppers, we have to get them committed. What that really means is you've got to get them into the picture of that individual. How many people here are real estate investors and you want to influence other people to become real estate investors too? Okay, here's the problem. When they come see you, you're here, right? And they consider themselves to be a newbie, a nobody, and they don't know anything. As long as they consider themselves to be a newbie and nobody, are they truly committed?
No.
No, they're window shopping. So one of the things I'll do in a workshop like this is to say, if we're talking about real estate, is I'll say, how many people here are real estate investors? You'll get a couple of people, and then the rest of them, what will do? No. Okay, so from now on, if you want to ask a question of me, here's what you're going to do. You're going to stand up, you're going to tell me your name, and you're going to say, I'm a real estate investor, and then ask your question. Now, the reason I'm doing that is to get you used to being a real estate investor, because as long as you see yourself as not being one, you're never going to be one. Does that make sense to you? It's kind of like that, you always hear the motivational gurus that say, hey, listen, if you want to become a millionaire, you don't say, I want to become a millionaire. What do you say? I am a millionaire. So you need to say, I am a real estate. Does that make sense for everybody? Can you play along with me over the next 3 days and just do that?
Yep.
How many people can play along with me over the next 3 days and do that? Okay, great. So the morning, I'm a real estate investor, 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 right? Okay, Saturday. This is what real estate investors do. They invest in their education. Commitment, consistency, next step. Does that make sense to you? Did everybody get that? It's the difference between I am this individual, and as this individual I need to do this, as opposed to I'm still not that person. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Okay, so you've got to get them in the picture, which means you've got to get them to say that's what I am, that's who I am. You also want to make sure that you use visual, auditory, and kinesthetic in terms of your presenting. There are visual people out there, auditory people out there, and kinesthetic people out there. If you don't know anything about NLP, I would suggest very strongly that you learn a little bit about that. Tony Robbins, in his book, Unlimited Power, had some stuff about NLP, Donald Boyd, Unlimited Selling, and some of those persuasion books. Excellent stuff in terms of how you can use some of those techniques and tools in terms of motivation and influence. So you want to make sure you're picking up some of those tips. Visual people, they say things like, I see things, I imagine things, the life is a movie. Do I need to make sure that I talk that way to them? Do I need to talk in pictures? Yeah. I do. And then there's other people who are auditory and you talk in terms of the words, the timbre, the quality, the sound, the pace. And there's other people who are kinesthetics, they're more feeling oriented, right? I feel the pressure of that decision, right? And you need to connect with them at a deep level because you will. Okay? So you want to make sure you're doing that, right? Social proof, very powerful. I've had the rare privilege of spending time with 50+ millionaires. Is that a social proof piece? It is. In addition to which, I have my own book coming out, right? M2, Quest for Multimillionaires. Authors, do they have a different respect than other people? Yep. Quite often they do, so you might want to build that kind of social proof. Any kind of social proof, testimonials, whatever that might be. Okay? We start off by building rapport, by them liking us, but sometime that's got to shift from just not liking to what? Envying that lifestyle. So quite often I talk about the fact I sat in a real estate workshop just like you did. I spent $4,000 my first 4 days, wondered whether it would work or not, 3 kids, family, whatever it is. Then I start, later on talking about the fact that, I love going to the Atlantis Hotel. How many people have been to the Atlantis Hotel? Man, I go there 4 or 5 times a year. That's such a beautiful hotel. You've got the lagoons, you've got the shark tanks and the dolphins. You can go on the dolphin trip and all those kinds of things, right? Is that a lifestyle that they don't have? It is. I have a 911 Porsche, whale tail, right? Do I mention that at some point in the presentation about my Porsche? What do you think?
Sure.
So they start to envy that a little bit, right? Because he's got that lifestyle. Because that says, well, if I want his lifestyle, what do I have to do? Do what he did. Does that make sense to everybody? So you start to get that envy part of the equation. Authority, I am the teacher, that's the way it is. I know what is going on. I can also do something called geographical embeds. Geographical embeds. Here's a geographical embed. I've had some great mentors in my life. Imagine there's a chair here, right? I'm touching the chair. One of my mentors in my life was a guy named Tony Robbins. Everybody know who Tony Robbins is?
Yep.
Everybody know who Tony Robbins is?
Yeah.
Do you know who Tony Robbins is?
Yes.
He's that guy that's the personal power guru, the motivational guy. Remember him? Multi-millionaire? Okay. Tony, changed my life. He got me on the path to success. He got me to start looking at things differently. How many people would like to look at things differently, get on the path? Well, Tony was that kind of guy for me, right? And this is what, I sit in the chair, this is what Tony said to me. Who have I just become? Tony. Okay? Does it have to be somebody you know? Hey, one of the guys that I really respect is a guy named Sir John Templeton. Does everybody know who Sir John Templeton is? Sir John Templeton Fund's billionaire. You know who Sir John Templeton is? Templeton Funds, everybody get that? Billionaire guy? Okay, you know, very successful in terms of business. Well, you know Sir John has a real estate strategy? Did you know this? He's a billionaire in the stock market, but he has a real estate strategy. Would you like to know what that real estate strategy is?
Yeah.
It's literally, sit in the chair. Location, location, location by the beach. The property that we have for sale is at the beach. Who have I become?
John Templeton.
Sir John Templeton telling you that is. Geographical embed. Very powerful. Or my mentor, whoever it might be. But use it and then sit into the place. Go into the place. Right? So scarcity, there's only a few left. Only the first 5 will get the special bonus. You know, in an audience this size, we only have 5 places, 5 spots. Condition response for them to get the bonus. We want to make sure that that happens. The last is just, I want to talk just briefly about language. Language is the difference between having a very successful sales presentation and not. So you want to start to be good at language. And when I say language, and I'm talking about specifically, is changing our language to meet the 4 personality styles, but also changing our language to adopt some powerful language patterns that work. Powerful language patterns that work are things like agreement frames. How many times have I said, "Are you with me?" Does that make sense? Am I moving in the right direction? How many times have I said that? I've said that at least 100 times in the 90 minutes I've been here. Why am I doing that? To keep you engaged, to keep you saying yes, 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 yes. If I keep doing that, is that conditioning your response? It is. So you want to start to learn some of those language patterns and start to become a master of some of those language patterns. That probably means you want to take a look at some language patterns from the seasoned sales professionals, but you also want to take a look at NLP, and you also probably want to take a look at hypnosis as well, because hypnosis can be pretty good in terms of it. You can use stories to sell. I don't have enough time to really go into how to construct a story, how to use a story to sell. But stories are great ways to deal with belief systems, because what happens is people go into an alpha state. Everybody know what an alpha state is? Yeah, it's more relaxed. It's just a state of brain. It's a brain pattern that hypnosis actually fires off, right? It happens normally. Anybody been driving down the highway and all of a sudden you're going like, where was that exit? You went into alpha state. You started to get into a very relaxed state. And while you were in a very relaxed state, something happened, right? So you can use stories to create those kind of states. And I would suggest you become very good at language patterns, mastering some of the language patterns, taking a look at books about hypnosis. You know, Tad James, www.tadjames.com, very good hypnosis, president of the Hypnosis Society. You might take a look at some of his information. But start taking a look at some of those things, because it's not as weird as you think it might be. It's all about language, and it's simple things that can make a major difference. Like, for example, are there going to be objections against your product? Okay, so for most of you, it's about the price, right? Is that right? Is it most of you about the price?
Yeah. Okay,
great. So let's just take that objection, that price for a second, and let's put it aside. Okay? Isn't it really about the value? It's not about the price, is it? It's about the value, isn't it? Did everybody get that? Okay, visually, I took the price of the objection, which is in front of us, put it aside, and then started talking about the value. Okay? I can deal with price, but the way I'm going to deal with this is based on value. So become a good master of the language techniques. So you want to make sure you're starting to master some of those things. Well, it's been my privilege and pleasure to be here. Destiny has many paths, and I'm glad that we had a chance to share a few steps together. I'll be around for the balance of the workshop. I certainly enjoyed being with you. Until we meet again, may God hold you softly in the palm of His hand.
Thank you.